heat for this on Twitter this morning, but I think it's time we have to ask, are we sure James Jones is him, right? And this year is going to determine that. How does he does this Cam thing blow up in his face? Is he actually moving DA? Does he make a move to strengthen this team, as we all know and believe that they need to? If he doesn't do those things and they have another first or second round exit, you've fallen short of your own standard. He talks about how every year is a chase for a championship, and that's what he wants to do. Well, if that's your mentality and you aren't even living up to your own mentality and standards, that's problematic. And this will go a long way to defining things.
Right. I'm not quite there as far as wondering if James Jones is him, but I do think there is something to be said for not stringing your guys along in a restricted free agency process that, let's be honest, can be uncomfortable, and it can put a strain on those relationships. Like, as much as DA is here to work and has been focused and by all rights is not going to let this affect him, just like it didn't affect him last year, like, there was a big cloud hanging overhead. There were a lot of questions and a lot of storylines and a lot of fans wondering about the relationship with Monty and whether he wanted to be in Phoenix and all that crap. And we've cleared that up now, but it took us a long point to get past that when we could have been just talking about basketball, when we could have gotten rid of those types of distractions. I don't think that'll be the case with Cam, because in DeAndre's case, he was dealing with a max contract. So there was a lot more at stake in his case than Cam. But like, you can't keep putting your own players through this process, because then that's kind of the reputation that you build for yourself. If you're drafting these guys, if you like the way they're progressing, if you talk about how they're getting better every season and how you're willing to dip into the luxury tax to keep them around, like, we need to see actions to back up those words too.
I don't know, man. I'm not questioning James Jones, not right now. I know he hasn't done much in this offseason, and it's been, there's been a lot to be desired, but I just feel like we still have a lot of time to go. There's a lot of moves that can still be made, and there will be something that will happen with Jay Crowder at some point. And and his track record and his history, listen, we got to, whatever way you want to put it, since he's taken over, the Suns have been pretty good. Mm-hmm. And however they got there it's been under James Jones. So I'm not gonna throw him under the bus just yet.
Look,
I'm not throwing him under the bus. I'm just saying I don't think it's out of the realm of sanity to maybe have some concerns.
Mm-hmm. Sure, all. But we've had a shit show of GMs in the last decade before James Jones even took.
But we also know we can't fully blame those GMs either, because they didn't have full control.
James Jones had the same things that were going on under him too.
I don't agree with that entirely. I think
How
James
do you
Jones.
Know?
Are you really going to ask the person that was inside the building?
I was there.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think James Jones had more control than GMs that came before him when it comes to that front office under that specific ownership.
You think
maybe not entirely, but a little bit more of control.
Well, then, okay, listen. All right, if we're going to go down this road, if we're going to play it, let's play it. All right, James Jones comes in, and he was an interim GM, and they also brought in Lance Blanks for whatever reason to try and help guide him or whatever. Like,
no, Lance Blanks was way before.
Or not Lance Blanks, the other guy.
They brought in
what's the name from the Pistons?
Jeff Bauer.
Jeff Bauer. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, Espo did a Lance Blanks impersonation earlier today that got me in my head.
That was Lon Babby. Get it on through.
Lon Babby, right? Whatever.
Two LBs.
Hey, yeah, two LBs.
Leandro Barbosa.
Yeah, so there's a lot of pounds going on. Anyway, so I get it. It's a first year GM. I'm not going to fall in line with this thought that he was just given the keys to the kingdom from day one, and that was that.
No, I don't think that was the case.
I think he's done a good job of trying to put this team together and the way he put it together. However it came together, he still got it done, and that's under his purview. And I think that he should get credit for that. And I know, listen, if we'd have got KD this offseason, depending on what we would have had to give up, there still would be half of the Suns fans that say, yes, great job. And there would be another half to say we gave up too much. Like, it's always a win or a lose with everybody. So I'm going to wait to see how this goes this season, how this all plays out, because for all we know, this is a 64-win team, and they lost one or two little pieces that you could argue or weren't crazy valuable, but, they were nice, like JaVale McGee. And if they start off 20-2, nobody's going to be bitching about James Jones anymore.
Well,
They're
no.
going to be like, oh, I can see why he's stuck with this team.
That's not true, because it all depends on what they do in the playoffs. It's all that's going to matter in this. And I like to look at this in totality, right? James Jones came in, and Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton were already in place on his roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
He drafted Cam Johnson. Great move.
Mm-hmm.
He pulled off the trade for CP3. Great move. Nobody's going to deny that, even anybody that's wondering what this is. But then Jalen Smith, Ty Jerome.
He got money.
And he got money. That's another great move. Well, some may disagree, but I am on that boat. That was a great move. Then you look at it, and he trades for Landry Shamet. He gives him a contract extension. There's some of these other guys that have been okay, but didn't move the world. Jay Crowder was nice for the first 2 years, but now he's got a mess with Jay Crowder as well. I'm not saying he's terrible, but I think he's good. I want to know that he's great this year. I want him to make the moves to take that step. That's all I'm saying. I don't think James Jones is a bad GM, but I think we have to look at the reality of it and not just drink the Kool-Aid. Yes, going to the finals, fucking fantastic. Nobody's going to deny that. 64 wins was spectacular. What do you do to build on that? Some would argue year one, fluky. Just because the league wasn't expecting it. They didn't know what to see from this team. Lots of injuries, short season, whatever you may say. They played really well last year and failed in the playoffs. All I'm saying is this is a litmus test this year. How do you perform? What do you add?